What if I say that 90% of beginning Java developers write twice the code they need to? Today, we're going to fix that forever. We are talking about methods in Java. Methods are the single powerful concept that separates copy paste coders from real software engineers. If you have ever written the same code twice, stop it. Start writing methods. Before we dive in, let us check our progress. The first video we spoke about introduction to Java full stack. The second video we set up the Java full stack environment. The third one data types. The fourth one if conditions. The fifth one the loops, for v, and this is the fifth video. I just want to be honest to you. I'm making this Java full stack series for helping you to clear interviews so that you get good jobs. If you are a fresher or a senior software engineer or a Java architect, if you want to go and do your best in your coding interviews, in Java interviews, this particular video is for you. So let's get started. I got three surprises for you. I'm going to answer most of the interview questions what they ask, like what is method overriding, what is recursion, and the third one is a real surprise. Now this particular video is divided into two sections. The first section we are talking about the concept. I'm going to write simple programs explaining me. The second section is the most interesting, where I'm going to do as much as coding, taking different exercises and solve it. Now if you want to be a hands-on coder, please visit all my second sections of all my above videos. Open Eclipse and practice. More you practice, the better you are. Now what is a method? A method is or a function. Now let us take a small example and get started. So guys, do me a favor, go to Eclipse. Now let me create a new project, new Java project, and we say video underscore 5 underscore programming constructs, methods. Next and finish. Okay, so let us create a class called method program, public static void main. Okay, now let's say that you are trying to write something like system.out.println. Let's say you are saying hello Bob, and then how are you doing? Now assume that in a different place of the code you are again doing this. Now this is exactly what I'm trying to say. 90% of the new Java beginners, what they do is they care about the program working. They don't care about they copy pasting the code and all. Now this is absolutely not acceptable. Now if you come back to the slide, now this is where the amount of duplicate what you got in. Now this particular problem you can actually solve using methods. So what is a method? A method or a is a is a name or is a block of code which does a well defined task. Now let me start writing the code. So you have like public static void greet, let us call as greet, let us say string name, and I'm exactly taking the same code as you see, and here I'm going to say name. And the best part of it is, if you see this particular thing, I'm going to take this whole thing, I'm going to cut this two lines because this is a repeating code. cut these two lines because it is a repeating code, cut these two lines because it is a repeating code, cut these two lines and call greet thing. So say, let's say Bob, again call this particular thing, call this as hurry, call this as sham, and then a ram. So basically what have you seen is I have changed the code. Now let us go back to our slide. Yes, on the left hand side, our previous code, we kept on having the same code, and copy back. Now what did we do? We changed this into a method. Now let us understand what exactly is a method. A method is a block of code meant to do a well defined task. Okay, now you can't give xyz as the name of the method, doesn't make sense. You need to give that as a meaningful thing. Okay, now the lines of code should exactly obey the name of the function. So if you have given the name of the function as greet, you can't do something else. You can't calculate the factorial of a number with the if you have given the name of the function. Now if you see previously, before having all these things, you had two lines in 11, two lines, two lines, two lines. Imagine that this particular function has got 10 lines. So you're calling it how many times? 4. 4 into 10 is 40 lines. If you do not use functions, you will have 40 lines of code. But if you use functions or methods as you call in Java, you will have only 14 lines of code. 10 lines of code for the real thing and calling the thing is thing. So methods have got real advantage. One is reusability. Now if someone asks you in interview what exactly is the advantage of methods, you say that we eliminate copy paste code. A method is meant for um, uh, reusing the code. You say reusability. So these are all the kind of advantages. Now if you don't get the job, then no one will get the job, so you will do your best actually. Now we need to understand the semantics of anatomy of a method. Now for now, for okay, so let me write down what exactly I meant by it. So what exactly is called public, what exactly is static, guys, what exactly is void, what exactly is greet, and what exactly is a name. Now public is an access modifier. For now, please ignore me, I'm very sorry. Once I get into object oriented programming in Java, when I discuss about classes and objects, you will understand about public. Okay, even static also is a class level information. For now please ignore it. I'm just 2 to 3 videos away where I really get into the details. Now void means it returns nothing. So when you are not returning anything from a function or a method, you're going to put that as a void. Now what exactly is a greet? Greet is the name of the method or member function, etc. Or function. You can actually see either someone will say that as a method or a member function or a function, etc. Now what exactly is name? Name is the function argument or method argument. Okay, now basically if I show you how the code works, right, this is very interesting actually. Now debugging is really helping me out. Now let's say that I put a function point breakpoint over here, and then I'll say run as debug as java application. Now it opens the debug window, correct? Now when you press F6, it moves forward, but next to F6 there is another thing called F5. So when you select F5, then it calls that particular, it gets into that function. Okay, Now it prints hello Bob, how are you doing? Now it comes to the next line. Again you press F5, it gets into the greet function. It says hello Hari. Now again you press F5, F, and then you press F6, done. Now for by chance if you forgot to press F5 and you press F6, then it directly shows you to the output. Now this is how the execution of a program is going to be if you have functions. So there are a couple of things you need to know. This is where you're calling the method. Okay, and this is where you are actually defining the method. This is where you are actually is the function definition, etc. Okay, now these are all real important concept. Now this is where you're calling the method. So whenever you call the method, what happens is it is the control is going to go to that particular function. So whatever the value you are passing Bob as an argument, right? So that value will be passed to the name, and that's how you're going to it is going to work. Now, one program no is not going to be enough to understand the whole story. Now, let us write one more program and understand this concept in a little different way. That's good. So, let's have some fun. Let's build a calculator app. Public static void main. This particular my videos are all hands-on videos, so you can pause as many times as possible and come back, and you'll always learn. This is my first section where I'm explaining the concept. In the second section I'm going to take up few programs and code and explain how the concept is going to be used. Okay, now fine. Now let's say that you have something like int num is equal to 100 and int num2 is equal to 200. Now let's say num1 is equal to 100. Okay, let's make this as a 200 and this as a 100. Now we can as well use scanner to take the inputs. Now if you are trying to add, right, sum is equal to 0, difference is equal to 0, product is equal to 0, and in quotient is equal to 0. Now you will say sum is equal to a plus b and difference is equal to a minus b, prod is equal to a star b, quote is equal to a slash b, kind of. I'm sorry, I should have written this as product. Okay, now let's see where we have gone wrong. It says cannot be resolved to a variable, correct? Now when we declare num1 and num2, why are you putting a and b, right? You remember last video I said, that meaning variables should be meaningful and it cannot be num1 and so a and b. So you can actually num1 and num2. Num1 and num2. Num1 and num2. Now you can actually print it out. Sum Okay, so 90% of the beginning Java developers finish like this only. They code like this. Now looks like there is an error. What is the error? Right? Quotient. Quotient. Variable name should be meaningful. So you can make mistake, but you correct yourself. 90% of the Java beginners, write code like this. Now I have a problem over here. Now what if in other place of your project they're expecting you to add two numbers or multiply two numbers, etc. Now you are going to copy this piece of code, paste it there, and work it out. Now that is not acceptable. Now if you start copy pasting your code from one piece of the file program and go to another piece of programming, I'm trying to tell you, when your code will be reviewed, no, you'll get absolute, trashing. That's actually not accepted. So in exams you might get less marks, but in software companies, if you write a trash code, they're going to make sure that they give a solid feedback to you. So you need to be extremely careful. Now how can this is absolutely bad code, I can tell you, because you are not giving any scope for reusability. Now let us rewrite this code and start using functions. So let us say public static, okay, int add, and then say int num1 comma int num2, okay, and then we can say return of a plus b. Ha. Now this seems to be good. Now let us finish this. Okay, so I'm going to put subtract and put minus. I'm going to say multiply and then say this. I'm going to say divide and add this. Okay, now here we are going to change this to okay. Now what have we done? We have defined, so all these are known as function definitions. I actually requested you to ignore what is public and static right now. So what is int? Int is a return type, correct? Now what I can actually do is, okay, now what are num1 and num2? Number and num2 are known as function arguments or parameters. Okay, now, okay, now you are actually returning it. Now if you see over here, now this whole thing, right, you can actually take it out. You can actually say sum is equal to add of num1 comma num2, or difference is equal to subtract of num1 comma num2. Product is equal to multiply of num1 comma num2. Quotient is equal to divide num1 comma num2. Now this code is acceptable. This code is acceptable is because, first of all, I'll tell you the couple of good things about writing that this. When you're writing a function, right, there is no need to accept data. You're going to pass the data, correct? The next thing is, you have defined these functions like add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Now you can make a menu driven program for calculator, fine. If somebody wants this sum in some calculation, they can use it. So they will literally thank you for providing that particular function. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. Methods have got lots of benefits. Of course, this particular example I'm just explaining the syntax to you, but I really meant by once the syntax is over, then you will actually see the real benefits. Okay. Now when I right click here and then run it, you can see the output, right? Right, 100 plus 200 is 300, 200 minus 100 is 100, 100 into 200 20,000, and 200 by 100 is 2. Now this is how you actually write down the function. So as you know, add is the name of the method, int is the return type, a and b are the things. Now couple of things which I'm trying to explain is, let me use a sniping tool, see, and try to explain. Now there are two sections. Now you are saying add of, and you're calling the function, right? So you are trying to say num1 comma, and the second part is you are actually define the method. So I meant by this method. Now what I'm trying to say that is main is a one function, and add is another function. So there is memory allocated for num1 and num2. So basically what happens is, when you say add of num1, the 200 is actually passed. So inside the add function, again there are two variables which are going to be created, num1 and num2. Okay. Now after the addition is over, once the execution of this function is over, since they are primitive data types, right, the memory is lost. That's exactly what I was trying to say in this particular picture. Now let us actually go for refactoring exercise. Now let us go to our video number. Okay, now we have written several programs in my previous project. Now let us see what all we have done. Here we are calculating the percentage, right? We are calculating the percentage, and this is an even odd program, this is a vote app, etc. Now let us actually start with even odd program. Now if you see, always you need to be frustrated, always you need to have the attitude that I can improve, I can make this code better. All these things are very important. Now let can I ask you one question, how can you better this actually? Okay. Now what we can do is we can actually say public static int is even, correct? And then we put something like int number, and then we'll say if number is greater than 0, return 1, else you can say return false. Okay, return false. Now I'm trying to return true over here, and I'm trying to say boolean. Now same thing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write one more function, and this is actually odd, and if I'm sorry, there is a logical mistake over here. If percentage 2 equal to 0, now this is how an even number is there. Now when you divide a number with 2, correct, and now you have something like -1, correct, sorry, 1. So when you divide a number with 2 and if the remainder is 1, right, then it is an odd number, correct? And if you divide a number with 2 and if the remainder is 0, it is an even number. Now what we can actually do is here we can actually say is even of 0, and we can actually say is odd of number. Yes, now we can take this one out. Now this seems to be a great code. Now it looks much better. Now there are two functions over here. One is an even function, the other one is an odd function, right? Now what I'm trying to say is, now the good thing is, yeah, this is one way of actually writing it. Now if the number is either even or odd, right, either the number even or odd, so what you can actually do it is, if even, else you can actually say it's an odd number. This is also easy way of writing the code. So when I right click, run the Java program, I say 123 and it says it's an odd number. Done. Now we have refactored this program and we have nicely made it. See, boolean is the return type, even is the name of the function. See, always you are known by quality coding. The method name, if it is returning a boolean value, it is a mandatory practice that you should say is even. That's how you actually do it. Now similarly, if you want to see if the person can actually vote or not, so you can actually say something like public static, and then you can actually say, okay, boolean can vote, and then you say int age, and you can actually copy this particular logic, correct, and then you say return true, else you can actually say return false. So our method is ready. Now there is here, right, we can actually say can vote. See, and then it is done. Now this is one of the important thing which I wanted to talk about is, correct, else, right, we can actually say something like throw new invalid argument exception. Let's see if this is there or not. Okay, in the next class I will talk about exception handling. For now we will keep this simple. So you can actually see that I have created a new method called can vote, and we have actually done this. Now when I right click here and say run as a Java application, let's say if I enter called 18, it says you can vote. So we have refactored two programs. One is to check if a number is even or odd. The second one is if a person can vote or not. Yeah, this, okay, so nice. So right now, as of now, we have seen how to write functions or methods when they return something and when they don't return it, kind of things. Okay, yeah, in the next video I'm going to talk about you know uh, method overloading. I'm going to talk about recursion, and I'm going to show you an interesting app where you can actually use programs. Thank you for attending this particular video. I really liked it. Hope you are also loving it. Now please subscribe to my channel and you know and get benefited. All the best. Thank you.